What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers lose on the road again. This is a broken record at this point. They fall to 0-6 away from home with a 119-109 loss against the Phoenix Suns. Shout out to you if you were over at Valley Podcast play-by-play stream. You got to see me rage throughout this game because this game was pretty infuriating, and I'll get into all the reasons why. Shout out to Shaggy Squid with a $5 Australian dono. He says, Chauncey hasn't been a good coach despite some positives. We don't look good. Maybe a CJ trade is necessary. IDK, but 12 games in and yikes. And we will talk about Chauncey because I don't think he coached a good game tonight. We'll get into all the reasons why. And I'm not going to discuss trades. Appreciate the $5 Australian dono, Shaggy Squid. I'm not going to discuss trades. This is my mindset at this point. It's hard to analyze the team until they're doing the right things in terms of what they're running defensively, their decision makings, what they're running offensively. We played just a dumb brand of basketball today. So many inexcusable defensive breakdowns that you can't just pin on, it's because we have Norman Powell at the 3 and CJ McCollum at the 2. Switching constantly during the second half, despite us getting cooked every time. We let Franklin freaking Kaminsky, cousin of Furkan freaking Korkmaz, go off for 31 points against us. Shades of Aaron Baines from a couple years ago when he was with the Suns and dropped 37 on us. I mean, this is more than just roster construction, right? It's an issue with kind of our mindset on the road, our lack of focus, man. And we've been saying it every post-game stream after every road game, and it's the same stuff. And it's the same stuff once again tonight. So I know the same people will constantly talk roster, and that's all they know how to talk about. That's fine. You can think the roster is bad. But for me, if we play a game like this, and we played such a stupid game tonight, Eric, that I have a hard time sitting here and complaining about the roster when it's like, it doesn't matter who's on the court. If we play this way, we're going to lose no matter what. It's beyond just the roster. It's just a bunch of some boneheaded offensive decisions, some stagnation with the offense, some boneheaded rotations from Chauncey Billups. I've called them out multiple streams, and once again, the rotations tonight just made me go WTF. And then defensively, it was an absolute joke. The Blazers are the 30th ranked team on the road defensively. Worst in the league. They are 5th ranked at home. So it just continues that trend. Eric, what are your thoughts on this game? I just kind of went all over the place with this intro. So what are your thoughts on this mess of a game tonight?
Yeah, I continue to be frustrated because we've seen how to play to win. And then we just do the opposite in games like this. And it's infuriating watching them. For those that are watching us watch the game, Tori's sitting here saying, don't run drop scheme on Chris Paul. And then we proceed to do it 4 plays in a row.
They scored 5 times in a row, Eric.
We know how that's going to turn out. We know that Chris Paul absolutely abuses drop scheme. And Zeller, it was just getting torched on it. And then fourth quarter, we're switching with they barely even had to set a pick, and they're switching, and we're just automatically putting ourselves at a disadvantage. We have a small guy on Kaminsky who's having the game of his career, and then we have a big trying to keep Chris Paul in front of him the whole fourth quarter, and it's just really dumb basketball. And this is why I am not giving up on this roster yet, because this is the kind of basketball that we were supposed to not play this year. And Chauncey can talk about this all he wants, but he is not doing a good job of making this transpire on the court. And this team needs to scrap, and they need to play hard. And if they do not play hard and with that effort, this is what frickin' happens. And it's so frustrating because Chauncey came in and said he was going to hold these people accountable and he was not going to stand for this lackadaisical defense. When you talk about having a scrappy defense, this is not it. Auto switching on picks, that's as conservative as you can get using drop scheme for part of the game. That is conservative. That is not aggressive. We were told this defense had to be aggressive, right? It has to be. Chauncey's exact words. This was not an aggressive defense. And that's why, yeah, it sucks watching them play this way, but this is not how they're supposed to be playing. So if you want to try to take a positive out of it, it's that we're not doing the things we need to do to win the game. It's not because of roster, in my opinion, still. So, in my opinion, until I see us playing and not doing these stupid things on defense and not being so selfish on offense, until I see all that come to fruition, I don't see how people can just say, oh, it's automatically a roster when we just auto-switch and let Chris Paul have his way and Frank Kaminsky go off on smaller players the whole game. Like, that's not how this works. And I'm sorry, but all the people who have given up on this team, like, think that it's supposed to just change. And unfortunately, Billups is not doing a good job of building on the momentum that they had early in the season. It's completely gone. And then we get it back for a game or two, and then we lose it again. And it's because we are doing stupid stuff and we are not playing the way he has stressed we wanted to play.
Yeah.
And until we do that, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and here, like, and people will say maybe this is just how the way that the guys play, like, automatically switching everything. There's no way that Chauncey wasn't wanting them to automatically switch everything. Down the stretch, we switched every pick and roll, everything for like a good 5 minutes, and it was getting destroyed, right? If Chauncey is telling them not to switch, and they're just switching constantly, then okay, sub them out because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not executing. Hold them accountable, which was the word of the day on media day, right? So he's not subbing them out. He's not doing anything. Like, we're just switching everything, and we call a timeout, come back out of the timeout, and we're still switching everything.
See, I think it was the game plan that if we were switching that fast and not even trying to fight through.
Yeah, we were just switching everything. So that's the thing, is like that. That's why I can't buy that. That's just how the roster plays. That's just how these guys play. Like, we cannot get away with switching picks. It doesn't matter if we even have a decently sized team. If you're switching a 2-guard or even a 3 onto a 7-footer, and then they're just isoing them in the post, guess what? They're going to eat. You cannot switch into mismatches and expect to have success. We saw it when we switched into mismatches against Charlotte during the second half. We switched on to PJ Washington far too much. He went 8 for 8 in that game. And like, that's the thing, is like, that's not a product of the roster. That's a product of us just switching everything for no reason, which is not how you play good defense. You cannot expect success in the NBA by just switching unless you have like 4 guys that are 6'8", 6'9". But that's the thing. People will say, oh, well, we just need more size like that. But many teams don't have that size. And when you don't have a bunch of guys that can guard every position, you can't switch. So why are we switching? That's what it comes down to. You got to play to the strengths of the roster. And when it's a situation where we play a game in which the strengths of the roster aren't being played to, I'm not going to sit there and blame the roster for that. I'm going to blame our style of play, because we got to do a better job of, I mean, offensively, I don't even want to get into the offense, but still, offensively, it's not where it needs to be. But defensively, man, I mean, we're running drop and we're switching. That's Terry Stotts. We literally got rid of Terry Stotts so that we could stop doing that. And that's all we're doing. And we saw an aggressive pick and roll scheme, Eric, work against Phoenix the first time we played them.
That's exactly what I was going to say. For anyone who's telling me right now that I'm stupid and it's obviously the roster, all this stuff, then tell me how this exact same roster played the way Tori and I are saying they need to play and absolutely shut this Phoenix team down before. They barely gave up any of these shots. I mean, yeah, you're going to give up an occasional dunk to JaVale McGee, but they didn't let anyone go off in that game, and that's because they fought through and got through the picks. We're not switching, and they were not allowing Chris Paul to turn the corner, and then Nurk was recovering, or whoever it was. Zeller was playing much better at that point in the season. And we saw all this stuff happen. And you can say, oh, they were on a back-to-back or not, but that doesn't matter for us fighting through a pick or not. That would be on them. Like, maybe the shots weren't falling because they were tired or whatever. You can use that excuse. We're on a back-to-back tonight too, so I don't know why you guys aren't keeping that same energy for us tonight. But anyways, the thing is, we've seen it already. We've seen them play the way Tori and I have been stressing they need to play with this lineup, with this roster. It only works if they play a certain way, and this is not it. This is not it. And so we can say it's the roster all you want, but this roster is actually a good roster if they play the right way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is people just, I don't know. I don't want to get too into narratives, right? I want to talk about the basketball game, man. But it's like, if we were completely incapable, we wouldn't have had the game we did against Phoenix. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have had such a good defensive performance. Just play an aggressive scheme. Like, I don't know why we're not anymore, because we saw some really good defensive games. We had 3 games defensively against the Clippers, Grizzlies, and Phoenix that were better than our best 3 defensive games last year, right? Mm-hmm. That should show you, okay, this roster can be better defensively if they're playing more aggressive. And we go away from that, and then people say, oh, well, the roster just sucks. What happened to the style of play? What happened to the aggressive defense? We went away from it. That's the difference between Phoenix, Memphis, and the Clippers at home, and then some of our struggles recently. Now, we've had a couple bad defensive games when we've played aggressive defense on the road early on in the season, but that's because we weren't completely locked in mentally, and we weren't focused on all the details and kind of executing all the little things to make an aggressive defense work, right? Okay, that's going to happen when you're running a new scheme, a new defense. That's going to happen. That's called the growing pains that I was talking about and that I warned you guys about all preseason, the start of the season that I've been talking about for a while now. Right? That's a part of the growing pains, you know? But you keep doing it, keep fixing it, keep refining it, because that's the scheme that's going to get this team playing the best basketball, right? It's not running drop scheme on Chris Paul the first time they scored on it. It's like, oh, great, we're running drop scheme. They're gonna pick this apart. And then
you're gonna mess up every once in a while, and that's gonna happen. But you can't have that as your scheme and then keep running it.
Yeah, the next 4 times they scored 5 times in a row on drop scheme, because you can't run drop scheme against Chris Paul. We talked about that last year. We talked about it this year. Guess what? Chris Paul didn't do anything when we ran an aggressive scheme on him in Portland. He did nothing. Mm-hmm. He was basically a no-show. I think he had 4 points. And then we ran drop scheme on him.
Nice passes, but other than that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, okay. So then today we run drop scheme on him and switch centers onto him. And he has all the space to work with, or just a slow big man in front of him. That's completely different. That's nothing to do with the roster. That has to do with how we're playing. And that's what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. So that's the frustration. That's why it's so frustrating, man. It's just like I thought we were learning. This is what we brought in the new coach for. Oh, yeah. My goodness. Let me thank the donos. Shout out to Crispy Bananas, $2 dono. Sage, he says, CJ may need to go, and Rocco has been a huge letdown. I appreciate the dono. I don't know what to say on CJ. I'm not going to discuss trades, but Rocco still needs to be better defensively. Shout out ads, $5 dono.
Well, before you go on, let me just say something.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if CJ necessarily needs to go, but can we just play him like 28 to 30 minutes or something and see what happens when you give other people a chance? Why is he playing 40 minutes in this game? It's not like he was on fire and dominating and we needed to have him out there and he was just good on both ends of the court. Like, why are we rewarding him still for, and this is exactly my point from last night, is that he doesn't do enough to reward him with 40 minutes a game right now. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, a guy like him, no wonder he's dead on the defensive end. He's having to go ISO on one end, and then he's playing 40 minutes almost in back-to-back nights, and we're just killing him with the minutes, and that's not how we're going to get better defensively, is by running these people into the ground on a back-to-back situation. So what little energy he normally has on defense, which isn't great to begin with, and then you combine that with him playing major minutes to where he's not fresh enough to play the type of defense we need in the fourth quarter, yet he plays the entire fourth quarter. It just doesn't make sense to me what we're doing with the rotations and CJ.
I wanted to wait because the last dono talks about minutes, so I was going to wait for that.
Sorry.
But as far as CJ goes, the dude, what he did at the end of the third quarter was beyond inexcusable. All right? and some of you may not remember what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the play where they have 2.8 seconds left. They're inbounding the ball, so everybody knows, okay, we got 2.8 seconds left. They inbound to CJ at about half court, and he just doesn't even try and get a shot until after the buzzer sounds, and then he flicks something up. Like he didn't want to mess up his field goal percentage or something.
That's pathetic.
Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. That's the most inexcusable thing I've seen all season long. That is so inexcusable. And that goes to, like, I don't know. I was questioning CJ's mindset. Like, do we want to freaking win the game? The dude does not shoot the ball and just lets the clock run out, despite him being around. He could have gotten off a 3, and it might have been slightly contested and a little tough, but shoot the shot. It might go in. You're a shot maker.
There's no problem shoot bad shots the rest of the game.
He shoots terrible shots all game long, and then he doesn't shoot that. Oh my God, that's the most ridiculous, inexcusable thing I've seen all season long. And then he plays the entire fourth quarter after that. Mm-hmm. What happened to holding him accountable? He should have been benched for the rest of the freaking game. Because I knew at the fourth quarter, I'm like, we're not going to win this game with just our mental makeup. Like, like, I could tell, and I was saying that. We're not going to win this game, right? And I know we kind of cut it close. We were not going to win this game. Right? Send a message, because you have to hold the mentality of this team accountable. If you continue to let it slide, it's going to continue to be a problem.
And for the second straight game, we make a run, and then we switch our lineup in a timeout when we cut it to like 4, and then all of a sudden it's back to like 9-11 real quick again. So frustrating.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. So Spurs fan, we know what we're talking about in regards to CJ, man. It's inexcusable, and that's the problem with CJ. It's like CJ will have a lot of good moments. You can look at the box score and be like, okay, he wasn't that bad this game. He was 7 for 16, had 7 assists, right? It's just, he does, and this is kind of what I'm realizing. I feel like he does some stupid things that sets the tone for the rest of the team to do more stupid things. That's the best way I can explain it. Like, if you are busting your butt and you get a possession, you get a good stop and you have 2.8 seconds left, and like, okay, maybe we can get some momentum going into the quarter, and you see your teammate do that, that's bad. Like, that sets the tone for the team to just not care and be lazy. If you have your second best player who's playing the most minutes tonight, 40 minutes, and he's doing that.
In CJ's defense, though, I mean, the coach is allowing him to do this. So,
yeah, I mean, Chauncey needs to hold him accountable.
Yeah.
But Eric, there's no excuse for that. Yeah. Like, CJ, that's an issue. There's no excuse for that. Mm-hmm. But he should have been benched for the rest of the game, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, of course. There's no excuse for that. He'll say he just lost track of the time or whatever, but there's no way that guy doesn't know when you catch the ball in the backcourt that you have to get the shot up quick.
Yeah, there's 2.8. You have a clock in your head, right? Mm-hmm. And he's driving straight towards the hoop. He can look up and see the dang shot clock. Yeah, that's inexcusable. That's absolutely inexcusable. And then he'll take some stupid shots. And he's 7 for 16, and I've always said this, like, you want him being aggressive, but he's not doing the best job of picking some of his shots right now, especially when his jumper isn't going. He had success when he got in the paint today. Mm-hmm. He had a mid-range or two, but his three-point shot wasn't falling. And he'll, 16 on the shot clock, settle for, a sideways stepping contested 3. And that doesn't set the right tone for the team.
But we're not running any offense, and Norm comes in and we run a double screen for him. He gets a wide open 3. Where's that action for Dame and CJ in this game? They're having to create everything off the dribble, and I don't understand why we're going back to that. Why we're not trying to get these guys catch and shoot shots, which they would be probably both hitting at a much higher clip if we got them more opportunities without having to create them on their own.
Yep. I just lost the donations.
Adds $5 dono, says Portland. Nobody out from COVID, serious injury, or with Ben Simmons syndrome. And the Blazers are a masterclass on how to embarrass yourself as a team 101.
On the road, for sure. Yeah. That's what's at home. Bro, if they played every game at home, they would probably be, 10-2 right now. They're 5-1 at home against some good teams. And on the road, they're 0-6. That's what's so mind-boggling. It's just, so drastically different. I've never seen a team, looks so different road and home in any sport in my life. It's insane. It's insane. Appreciate the $5 dono ads. Shout out to Joseph Niedermeyer, $2 dono. He says, best thing about Chauncey so far, and I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, Joseph.
Thanks, Joseph.
It's hard to think about good things in regards to Chauncey right now because he did not coach a good game.
Yeah. Let me just... I don't know where's a good time to mention this, so I'm just going to mention it now. If you want something positive, okay, Blazers have not played a single team in the bottom 11 in offensive rating. So every one of our 12 games this year has been a team in the top 20, or in this case, top 19 in offensive rating. So Friday is our first game. I think Houston's like 28th or 29th in offensive rating. And not that this should matter that much, but just looking at that, we have not played one single game where we should have completely shut a team down. And so if they come out flat and look like crap on defense on Friday, then maybe we can start to be concerned. But this will be our first game against a bad offense that hopefully we can take advantage of and lower our defensive rating a little bit. But going into this game, our defensive rating was 7.2 points per 100 possessions, better than last year. Now you can say the offense is down this year or whatever. Like, I agree with you there. But our starting lineup's defensive rating is around 104. Our overall defensive rating last year was 116. So our starting lineup defensive rating has been pretty good when the starters are on the court, and that includes Dave CJ.
Yeah, and that's with Rocco playing bad this year defensively.
Right. And the three guards and being small and having two major liabilities or whatever excuse you guys want to make, our starting defense has actually been fine and more than adequate. I'd say above average. And the rest of the team, we saw it again tonight. We played fairly good defense at the beginning of the first quarter, and I think at the beginning of the third quarter, and then it just goes downhill once we make substitutions, and then they get in a rhythm and all that. But so if you want some positives, our defense is much better than last year, even though it doesn't seem like it. And you factor in that we have games like this where it's just inexcusable decisions by the coaching staff to have schemes that are very unaggressive when we need to be super aggressive or more aggressive than we had been doing, and just automatically switching and running drop scheme at times. There are times to run drop scheme. Against the Phoenix Suns are not one of those times. So, yeah, and we got killed last night whenever we did it as well. So I think if you want to look at some positives, it's even with all these mistakes that Chauncey's making, we're still like analytically a better team than last year. And that's with Dame struggling. Now we have other guys struggling now that Dame's finally getting somewhat back to normal. So once this team like gets some consistency and stops with these huge mental lapses on the road and has a little bit better locked in game plans, and Chauncey gets into because right now he's struggling with whether to stick with lineups that are struggling to try and see if they can work it out on the floor, or if he should just switch the lineups all around, and like how much tinkering is too much tinkering and all that. And I think he's getting in his own head, like trying to do too much or not enough, and he doesn't know how hard to press those things right now. But in my opinion, he's just got to find a way to reward the players that are playing the hardest, and whether that's our best players or not. Like, for example, I mentioned earlier, we cut it to 4 with our bench lineup and CJ, and then we call timeout, or Phoenix calls timeout, and we sub them out, and we immediately go back to almost down 10. So I just want to see some consistency with the rotations. He's still learning. It's still young, early enough in the season. If we win the next 2 road games, we're still 7-7. The first 22 games we knew were going to be tough, and we're in danger if we don't win on Friday of kind of falling apart and not being able to get back to 500. But as long as we win Friday, I feel like we're still in that range of where we need to be a good team down the road. I just wish it was because we were playing a better brand of basketball for why we were struggling instead of resorting back to the stuff that we know doesn't work.
Yeah, and I mean, the same people are going to make the easy takes, the easy, toxic, ridiculous takes, like surface level stuff. Oh, well, the Blazers play 3 midgets. I just saw that in chat. Just absolutely ridiculous. Eric just stated the defensive rating for the starting 5, and it's actually pretty solid. And we see this team play good freaking defense at home. So, I don't understand why people say stuff that just flies in the face of reality instead of just watching and, paying attention to what they're actually seeing on the court, Eric. It drives me crazy, man, because it's the same people that say, oh, Nurk just has been a horrible finisher this year, while Nurkic is shooting 62% from 2 and his career has 52% from 2 and he's much better. And Nurkic had a lot of solid finishes tonight. You know what I mean? It's the same people that do that stuff sit here and say, oh, well, it's just the 3 guards, right? Then how are we having good defensive games with them? How are we sitting here with a 104 defensive rating for our starting lineup, right? And then, when we struggle, it's because we're making stupid breakdowns where we switch or we completely leave a guy wide open for no reason. That's not due to freaking height. It's not due to height. I'm just so tired of people they latch on to one narrative and they don't think about anything else and they just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. It gets frustrating, man. You got too many people that come in here and just spam the same take, right? If we were getting beat because Devin Booker posted up CJ McCollum and just had his way with him because he's taller, okay, then you could talk about, CJ's height, right? That's not what happened. We run drop scheme on Chris Paul, give him a bunch of space, he goes to work. We switch a center onto Chris Paul, he goes to work, right? Our bad defensive games are because we're doing stupid stuff and having stupid breakdowns. We're rotating out too slow. It's not because of freaking height. There's so much more to defense than just, your head has to be up here instead of right here. You know what I mean? I don't understand that, and it's frustrating.
Well, I saw, I think it was John Hollinger had a tweet last night that said, Portland paying 3 small guards the money they pay them and not being able to defend an apex scorer like Paul George is a interesting take or something. And you look at it, I mean, Paul George was 10 for 24. It's not like he dominated us last night, and yet that's the narrative that we just got slapped around by Paul George and all that stuff. And most of the time he did have good possessions. It was because we did the stupid switch thing that we were doing tonight, and we inexplicably switched Dame or CJ onto him because they set a weak pick. And if we're going to be aggressive and scrappy, and Chauncey knows that these guys aren't the greatest defenders, so they need to play a certain way with toughness, this is not it, man. And I see JD in chat saying, Eric's going to die on this. It's not the roster hill. I will tell you if I was wrong, if they play the right way. And that's the thing. You guys know I'm not some guy who's going to be here and not say I was wrong or whatever. I've done that plenty of times. This is not a roster issue until they prove that it's not a roster issue or it is a roster issue. Because I don't know how, I understand how people watch this game and they're not looking for the things that Tori and I look for necessarily, but this is not good. This is not good brand of basketball, and this is not how they should be playing with this roster. And until that gets fixed, and until they start doing exactly the things that this coach said he was going to implement, I can't say I still am not willing to give up on this roster, because I still think they've shown you at times when they do play the way Tori and I stress and the way Billups said all offseason that he wanted them to play, that there's a good team in there, a really freaking good team. And I don't believe that playing a crappy band of basketball that gives up open shots is a good indicator that this roster is not good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Norman Powell did a great job defensively on Paul George last night. Paul George had 24 points on 24 shots. You absolutely live with that. And then Paul George did most of his damage against Robert Covington or against Dame if Dame got switched onto him, which Dame is actually normal size for a point guard. He's a very normal sized point guard. So if you're going to switch your point guard onto him and then like, if he's going to cook a 6'7" Robert Covington, that has nothing to do with the 3 guards. It's just the easy take to make. It's the easy, lazy take to make, and it's frustrating. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm getting frustrated with a lot of people that just, I don't know, man. I don't want to make this out about certain people and certain narratives and stuff, but I mean, you watch this game and you see them switch a million times in a row, and people are sitting there saying, "Oh, it's the guards. It's the 3 guards."
Well, I mean, the same people will see a guard get destroyed on a screen, and then Nurk has to compensate for it, and his guy scores because he had overhelp on the guard, and then they say Nurk sucks at defense because of that. So, like, I mean, I understand people don't watch basketball the same way. They're just watching as fans, and they just see who scores or look at the box score and see who had a good game. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's the wrong way to watch it. I kind of wish I could turn it off and watch that way, and life would be easier if I wasn't so if I didn't watch it in an analytical way. But yeah, it's frustrating. So I don't know if you saw this, Tori, but there was a picture of Paul George after the game last night in the locker room, and you could see part of their whiteboard strategy for the game, and it just had the word attack and underlined, and underneath it said Lillard, McCollum, and like in parentheses, second unit. So so their teams know this, and this is why you can't switch. You cannot switch because those teams are wanting you to switch, and that's why you can't. You have to fight through those, and that's the frustrating part, is that they have this game plan to exploit Dame and CJ. Well, we don't have a game plan to make sure they don't get exploited, and it's as simple as fighting through those picks. Whether you're going to get caught up on some, it's unavoidable, and you're going to have to help, and you're going to have to switch sometimes. But to have it be our basic defense, which we do time and time again, possession after possession, is just inexcusable in this game, and it's terrible coaching. And I hope that this is just a brain fart by Chauncey these last couple nights, but he is absolutely not getting this team to play the style and not having the right game plans to win on the road. And until he fixes that and looks inward and kind of realizes what's happening, I think we're going to continue to struggle on the road.
Yep, I agree. Let me thank the rest of the donos before I forget. Shout out Nate J. Dub, $5 dono. He says, "Pain is part of being a Blazer fan. I will always have hope, but damn, bruh, down horrendous right now." And we're all down horrendous, Nate. Appreciate the $5 dono. Shout out Prim, Raj. I don't know. I'm just going to call him Prim.
It's Pim.
Oh, Pim. I thought it used to be Prim.
There's no R. No,
Has it always been Pim?
Yeah, I correct you a lot, but you must not hear me.
There's never been an R? Oh, man. Oh, wow. Okay. Shout out to Pim for the $5 dono. He says, or she, I don't know. They say, "I would like to see a horn set with Nurk and Powell. What sets would you like to see? Back cuts?" And we do run a horn set. We just don't run it well. And we don't we don't really look for secondary action off of it. It's mostly give it to one of the guys at the elbow. There might be a back cut, and then a guard goes and gets the ball.
Yeah, we always do dribble handoff out of it, and it's just pointless. It's just our horn set is just a different look to get into our dribble handoff, and it drives me crazy because we saw multiple times in the first half of this game where when we have Nance or Nurk catch the ball kind of halfway in between the three-point line and the baseline and the key, and you have a cutter, it's like an easy pass for a lay-in. Or they can swing it across if the defense overhelps too much on the cut, and they can throw a cross-court pass to an open three-point shooter. And that's the frustrating thing, is that we don't – I feel like we could do a much better job. I thought we were doing that at times in this game and then went completely away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out Shaggy Squid. Go ahead.
I think we missed one up above.
Did I?
Scott Bossy with the Canadian $7 donation.
Yeah.
Says CJ 40 minutes, Norm 28 minutes, Nurk 18 minutes. Why?
So Nurkic had 5 fouls, so I'm not gonna be on him for that. But CJ playing 40 minutes, especially after what he did tonight at the end of the third quarter, is just ridiculous. Hold guys accountable. I know Simons wasn't hitting shots tonight, but Nas played well. Why is Norm only playing 29 minutes, Eric? He's been a
One of
solid
our best
on.
players. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been very.
He's been
solid.
our most consistent player by far this year.
Like he should have had 35 minutes tonight. Take 6 of those 40 minutes from CJ and give him to Norman Powell at the 2. You know what I mean? But no, it's Dame playing 38 and CJ playing 40, and this is just Chauncey being a new head coach and never coaching before. He doesn't know how to manage lineups in rotations and minutes, because there's no way CJ should be playing 40 minutes in this game and Dame playing 38. Absolutely not. They need to be like max around 36. And if you lose, you lose. But then when CJ does that crap he did at the end of the third quarter, there's no way he should be playing the entire fourth after that. Because that's just so... Like, it's just... I don't know what CJ was thinking. Part of me feels like, oh, he didn't want to miss a shot and affect his field goal percentage. Which, if that's the case, he should have been benched for the rest of the game, because that's just that's selfish. Or it's he didn't recognize the clock, which is just... excuse me. That's inexcusable. You have to have game awareness. You should have known there was 2.8 on the clock. Like, how do you not know? You know what I mean? There's no way to excuse it. Hold guys accountable. Bench them. There's no way CJ should have played 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. All right. The next dono was Shaggy Squid 2 Australian Dollar. He says, sad Ant's shots didn't drop because he played well, in my opinion. Anthony got good shots, I think. Had a couple drives where he got stripped or somebody got their hand on the ball, but I like that he was being aggressive and attacking, and he had a lot of shots go in and out, especially in the first half. So you can kind of live with that from Ant. Do you agree?
Yeah. I wish he would. I mean, like you said, they were in and out, so it's hard to necessarily say they're bad shots. I just wish we would, as a team, not take contested shots as much as we do. I feel like when we move the ball, we get open shots the majority of the time. So I don't feel the need to have to take many contested shots. But until the last couple of games, he's been pretty consistent hitting those this year. So don't mind him shooting. Just it's been a rough couple nights for Ant shooting the ball.
Yep. Shout out to Pim for another $5 dono. Would you consider starting Anthony Simons over CJ? No. I mean, at this point, give CJ less minutes. And if CJ does something ridiculous, bench him. Hold him accountable. It doesn't necessarily mean to not start him, but, over the course of the game, if he's slagging or if he's doing some stupid things, take him out of the game, talk to him. You know what I mean? There's no reason he should be playing 40 minutes. So I'm not going to say here say start Simons over him. Yeah. I just think CJ needs less minutes in general.
Well, we know Norm's only been playing the 3 this year for like 90+% of his minutes, right? So here's what I would say. Like, both halves tonight, CJ comes back with like 2 minutes left in the quarter, the first and third quarter, and then plays the entire second and fourth quarter. And this is exactly my point. He's playing like 14-minute stints of game time in a row. Like, of course he's not going to be fresh midway through the second quarter. Like, I don't understand why we take him out and then bring him back 3 minutes later and then make him play 14 straight minutes again. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, at the end of quarters, I don't know where Norm is. Norm hasn't been playing with the second unit at all, and it's frustrating because he's having a decent game. He's hitting his threes this year. He's attacking. He's one of the few guys who attacks and draws fouls and stuff like that. He's the best out of our guards in terms of defense. I know like analytics aren't necessarily true on that, but like just in terms of like getting in people's faces and trying his hardest on defense, I think he's the best out of the 4 at that. Even though like Ant's defense has improved, he still just lacks a little bit of aggression at times. But like, I don't understand why we can't see an Ant and Norm with Nas and do exactly what Phoenix did. This is so frustrating to watch. So their second unit comes in and they just run the crap out of us. And they go on an 8-0 run almost immediately because they're just pushing the ball up and getting easy shots because they're running. When you have a lineup with like Nas and Ant and Nance and these guys, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do the same and get some easy buckets for our second unit. But instead, we get caught in this half-court, slow it down offense. And we've already seen this year when we play up-tempo, we're very tough to stop because we're a good half-court team if we get stopped in the fast break. So why not try for fast breaks and get easy buckets first? And if it doesn't work, then bring it back out and then run some sort of offense. And it would be the same thing that we talked about with running ISO in a half court set. Is like you don't need to do that until you can't get a good shot, and then 5-6 seconds left on the shot clock. Then yeah, sure, give it to someone and let him ISO. Let Melo take a post up in that situation or whatever. But like, I just don't understand why we don't try to do that with how much athleticism we have. And that's add that to the list of things that we could improve to be a much better team that we thought was going to happen this year that hasn't come to fruition consistently.
Yep. Shout out Dro, $5 dono. He says, everyone calm down. 13 games in with a new coach. It's not going to be perfect in the beginning. It's not. I got to meet Carson today. Ref screwed us. That's cool that you got to meet Carson. I know you both were at the game, so too bad the Blazers couldn't pull out a win for you guys. The refs definitely screwed us. The refs were horrible today, Eric. And that's the thing. Like, we lose by 10. We shoot 7 for 30 from 3, and I think this was the worst refereed game of the season for us. Like, it was downright horrible. If you guys watched the play-by-play stream on ValleyPod, you heard me just raging about the refs on numerous plays. I thought the refs were absolutely horrid. They were horrible. And that doesn't excuse all the stupid things we did. You know what I mean? So that's why I haven't talked about them yet, is because we kind of beat ourselves with switching constantly and run and drop against Chris Paul, which you just don't do, and, things like that. So when we have a lot of mistakes in this game, I can't sit here and say the refs are the reason why we lost or anything, because we're the reason we lost. But the refs were also horrible. The refs were horrible. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought the refs were pretty bad. Yeah, it's frustrating because, well, Dame finally got a couple calls today, but not that many. And, it was weird. Like, Booker doesn't get – it's just an offensive foul when Booker elbows Norm, but then CJ gets a technical foul. But he still goes to the free throw line. Like, it just seems inconsistent, too. Like, I wish like it was like the same call for both teams, but and then Dame's getting held a lot, and they're letting him do that this year, and unfortunately, it's a case where we don't try to hold people on that end, so I don't know how to compensate for that, but teams are getting away with it, and until we sort of react or learn how to combat that, it's going to be tough and look like the refs are against us. And then we have Nurk with two stupid offensive screen fouls where he's lowering his shoulder or sticking his leg out or getting too wide and moving into the screen. And those kind of things were just killers in the second half to have possessions that we needed to score on, end in him with a turnover because he set an improper screen.
Yeah, I mean, not every call was bad. There was just so much stuff. I just wanted to be consistent. And I felt like things, little bump fouls on drives that they were giving a Devin Booker, they would not give to Dame. And Dame is just... I'll talk about it after I read the last final donation. Shout out to Dro for the $2 dono. He says our off-ball defense isn't positioned correctly. I agree. That's been a big problem this year. And when it's good, we have some good defensive outings. It's just on the road we don't have the same attention to detail, and that's one of those attention to detail things, is where you're positioned off the ball, and that's not due to height, it's positioning. So appreciate the $2 dono, Dro. And then Mills Woj, $20 dono. Appreciate it, Mills Woj. He says, do you guys think there's a relation between our difficult schedule and the fact that we get no calls having to do with trying to make Dame unhappy? Agree with what you guys are saying about the style play and the roster. I don't think the no calls have anything to do with wanting to make Dame unhappy from the league. Like, anybody that says the league is trying to, force something to happen, force Dame to want out, or force the Blazers to struggle because they want Dame elsewhere or whatever, you got to think about risk versus reward. The reward is nowhere near worth the risk. Could you imagine if a couple NBA refs 20 years from now, maybe they retire in the next 5 years and then come out, 10 years later and say, yeah, the NBA told us to not give Damian Lillard calls because they wanted him out of Portland. That would be such a blow for the league. That would be really, really, really bad for the league. I don't think people realize how bad that would be for the league. And also, they can make a couple extra, million, Dame out of Portland. Is that really going to make them that much more money? I don't think so. If Dame's on the Lakers, like, same amount of people are going to watch the Lakers, you know what I mean? Like, the Lakers, maybe they're a little bit better, but it's just like, what's the reward there?
Well, they'd be a lot better with Dame, but...
I mean, well, they'd be a lot, obviously. But I'm just saying, like, the reward is not worth the risk.
Yeah.
And, I've never bought into those conspiracy theories, and it's just not something that I think is the case. I think it's more so there are certain players that have gotten the benefit of the whistle in, like... I shouldn't necessarily say that. There's certain players that, like, figured out how to get to the line using a couple tricks, right? And James Harden was one of those. Trae Young was one of those. Dame was one of those, I mean, how many times did he get 3 free throws, pulling tricks out on the perimeter? And Luka Doncic was one of those. And those 4 guys have all had a major downtick in free throws. So I think it's almost the refs, like, unconsciously overcorrecting with those guys. That's my thought.
I mean, there might be a little bit of bias here, but I don't think that Dame was trying to trick refs. It's just when he goes through screens, the defender is almost always holding him, and he tries to accentuate the contact there, which I don't think is a trick. I mean, he's actually getting help when he goes through those screens and catches the ball and tries to shoot and get three free throws. But yeah, they're definitely not calling that this year, so he's definitely got to adjust there. But Tori, do you remember what the ratings were for the finals last year?
They were some of the best ratings in history.
Right. So we're coming off a season in which the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks played in the finals, and the NBA had its one of its stars, Giannis, staying in Milwaukee, and they get rewarded with one of their best viewerships in the finals and throughout the playoffs in a long, long time. So coming off of that, why would they make the decision to want to get Dame out of Portland to go to a big market team where he'd be like the third star on a good team or whatever? So like I don't see why the NBA would be like, you know what, this formula really worked this year, having Giannis stay in Milwaukee and having this Phoenix team, that's not a very big market either, make the finals, and it was some really good basketball. Yeah, let's just go away from that and go back to that old stuff that wasn't getting as good a ratings. Let's just try that, and to do that, let's try to force Dame out of Portland. That did not happen. I know people like to come up with conspiracy theories, but I find that hard to believe coming off the season they had with the teams that were involved in the playoffs last year, making deep runs, that they would care about what teams have which players right now.
Yeah, and as far as the hard schedule, that's just a coincidence. Like, then last year we had an easy first 20 games or so, if I recall correctly. Like, I mean, that you're going to get a hard first 20 games, you're going to get easy first 20 games. I don't think that has anything to do with them trying to force Dame out, because Dame isn't the type to quit on his team in the middle of the season anyways. So, I mean, I don't buy that.
And the thing is, I mean, the back-to-backs are just ridiculous this month, which is, I mean, you just got to deal with it. There's not really anything to say about it. I don't think it's on purpose, but with the schedule, though, I mean, as hard as it was, we have gotten some breaks. Phoenix doesn't have Ayton tonight. Philadelphia was without several good players. We got to play the Lakers without LeBron, and AD goes out after 7 minutes. So it's not like we haven't gotten some breaks this year, too, and we're not taking advantage of those like we need to in these situations, and we're still kind of struggling. But honestly, everyone knew it wasn't just going to click right away with Chauncey, right? Like people who were smart about basketball knew that he needed some time to like grow the team and stuff. And I thought he needed a little less than some other people. I don't know what that was.
I accidentally pulled that up. I was checking to make sure that still works. It actually does, so I might have to get that together.
But anyways, so we knew this was going to be a tough early schedule. We knew that there might be some growing pains with the new system. And yet people are still freaking out when we are, we're 3-5, and then we win 2 games, and we're 5-5, and then everything's fine, and then we lose a couple games, and we could very easily be sitting here after the next 2 games at 7-7 and be fine, right back where we should be. And so I think as long as we don't get too far under 500 right now early in the season, I'm not going to panic like some people seem to do after every single game.
Yeah, yeah, it's just frustrating. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the way they lose. If they play the
Right.
right way and lose this game, I'm chilling. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And like, I was chilling after we lost opening night because for the most part we tried to do the right things and it was growing pains. Like, okay, cool. Like after we lost that game, I was like, dang it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
after when we lose in this game, I was worked up this entire game, man. I
Yeah.
mean, if you guys were in that play-by-play stream, you know what I'm talking about. So it's just the way in which they play. Like that's the biggest thing to me is like what style of basketball are they going to play, and it's just frustrating how it's like they've had games where they've kind of pretty much played the right way and looked really good, and then the second they stop playing the right way, people just say, "Oh, it's the roster." Like, I don't know. I don't think so. Like, let's see them play the right way consistently. That's what we can control right now. Like, we don't even know who the GM is going to be at the trade deadline, so just play the right way. Just play the right way. Shout out to Diego Hernandez, $5 dono. I really wish we hired Becky Hammond instead of Chauncey. She has much more experience under an all-time coach with Popovich. Chauncey's here. I would prefer Chauncey. Like, Becky could have been doing the same stuff. You don't know. That's the thing. Chauncey said all the right stuff, and he's struggling right now to implement the right stuff, so who knows if Becky would have been worse or not. Maybe not. Maybe she would have been better. Maybe she would have been worse. But you don't know until they're the head coach, so I can't sit here saying, oh, I wish we did this instead of that. But I appreciate the $5 dono, Diego.
Yeah, I mean, and there's rumblings that she has some issues herself. I'm not going to get into it, but like, I don't know.
I heard that before it even got public.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I
if
said that
people
on a
said
stream.
it was just like a smear campaign, but
Yeah, but I heard it from okay.
yeah,
I don't have sources, but there is one guy that posts. I'll just say it. There's this one guy that posts on a forum that called LaMarcus Aldridge, asking to get bought out of San Antonio before the news actually broke, and then he he talked about some of the issues with Becky Hammond, supposedly, right? This is just all like word of mouth, but then 2 weeks later, all of a sudden it's public and it's the Blazers running a smear campaign saying that, oh, Becky, I don't even remember the exact like details of it,
but there was also so there was some national writers that had nothing to do with the Blazers and or Olshey or anything, and they confirmed that story was true or whatever.
It was just basically the reasons why she wasn't getting hired. If that makes sense. Like I forget what the details are.
It was something about her like being lazy or something. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to like get into speculation or whatever, but
yeah, and I had like heard basically what was reported 2 weeks before it was ever reported. So I don't know, and that might be false. It might have, it's just I don't know. That's the thing is you don't know what you're getting until they're the head coach. So anyway, you want to go into or what were you gonna say?
I don't know if you're gonna do tweets of the game tonight, but Carson and Dro posted a picture. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll throw their picture up. I went and I just had to make sure that background was still working. I want to make sure it was still working. I'll just throw every tweet. There was 3 tweets tonight that used Blazers Uprise. I didn't think the scene was still going to work, so I'll get Krish on that. I am currently Discord DMing him the links and as we speak. So in the future, use hashtag Blazers Uprise during your tweets during the game. Just try and make it, if you make your tweets clever or like funny, much more likely they'll be included. If there's some humor to them or something, catchy or clever.
Or if it's good analysis.
Yeah, that is the whole idea behind the segment. Or if it's 2 of you meeting up at a game, that's dope as hell. So Carson and Dro, man, we'll get you up on this stream in a second. Let's look at the team stats. We haven't looked at that yet. Let me switch these over from Los Angeles. I mean, the stats, let's see how different they look. 52% once again from the field for Phoenix. Only 39% from 3. They were 38 for, God, quick math, 66? Yeah. 38 for 66 from 2, which is not good. I think that's like 60%. I think that's 59% if my mental math is correct. 38 divided by 66, it's 57.5%. Dang it. I'm not that much of a genius. I'm actually kind of dumb. 52% from the field, 57.5% from 2, and 39% from 3. Our 3-point percentage. Yikes.
Yeah, at one point we were at least 2 for 21. I think it got worse than that at one point. I forgot what the exact number was. So we finished the game strong, I guess. Norm hit a couple threes at the end. But yeah, 7 for 30 is not good. And yeah, it was pretty much everyone tonight that shot threes. But yeah, we got to. But I mean, this is the frustrating part. If you just put that up to like, 30, 35%, 33%, that's 10 threes at 33%, and we lose by 10, that's 9 more points. Like, I mean, I know that's not how you can exactly figure it out, but that's every game you can point to something other than the 30-point loss to the Clippers earlier in the year, like where there's a thing that, like, if we just have our normal play on offense, even with the crappy defense, we still probably should have been in this game and possibly even had a chance to win.
Yeah, but that's why you got to control the controllables, right? You're going to have nights where you're missing some threes. You got to control the controllables, which is what type of defense you run. If you shoot the freaking ball at the end of the third quarter, things like that. So, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they missed shots, screw them or anything. If they don't get good shots, then I'll point that out, because that's something you can control. You can kind of control the shot quality, if you're settling for bad shots compared to if you're working the ball, moving the ball, running good sets and getting good shots. That's a difference. That's a difference. That's controllable. Whether or not good shots go in is not inherently controllable. You'll have cold shooting nights even if you get good shots sometimes. So it's not pretty, but I'm not as mad about that compared to a lot of other things in this game. We've been rebounding the ball pretty well, Eric, despite being a smaller roster. 14 offensive boards to their 9.
Well, they don't really have a lot of. I mean, I guess JaVale's a decent rebounder, but other than him, they played smaller too. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to judge it off this game without Ayton.
But I will say this: like previous games, it seems like we're rebounding pretty well. So that hasn't really been as much of an issue. Only 14 assists on 44 makes. Yikes! They have 27. I mean, they almost double us up.
That's how we want to play.
Yep. Not getting away from that. 16 turnovers to their 11.
And this is another thing that turned the game. We both had 6 at halftime, so we doubled them up. 10 turnovers in the second half, which is way too many. They only have 5, and that's once again, when you lose by 10 and there's a 5 turnover differential, that's another key stat.
And a lot of them were just silly, man. And there was another possession, the Rocco, where he hit the shot clock buzzer-beating 3, which looked good, by the way. I don't know how they overturned it because we saw it in slow-mo. That's one of the plays where it's just like, refs, what are you doing? But to start that play, Dame jump passes and throws it off Nurkic's shoulder, who's not even looking for the ball. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of possessions on offense where it's like, what in the world are we doing? Where we just look like a YMCA team. And then, we have talent, so we'll make plays, but it just seemed discombobulated offensively for the majority of this game. We did get 56 points in the paint. CJ had some success driving to the rim. So did Dame. So did Norm. So, I mean, that's a pretty good number, but you give up 60. And a big part of that is switching guards onto their opposing center, Frank freaking Kaminsky, who had 31 points. And then that's the thing, dude, is those are the stats. As far as Kaminsky goes, it's like the dude's hot and they lose him. There was a play, and we'll talk about it with Cody Zeller, but there's a play where the ball was guarded and Cody Zeller just ran to the ball to double team the ball, but it wasn't even a double team. He kind of just ran to the ball and left Frank Kaminsky, and they just kicked it out to Frank Kaminsky, and he had 3 seconds to just think about it all day to shoot completely wide open. Nobody even tried to get out on him, and he made it. It's those sort of things that are infuriating, and it's those sort of possessions that clean those up and then see how this roster looks like defensively, right? When they do clean those up, it looks pretty good at home. So that's why it's just can we just clean up the stupid stuff? and just see what it looks like on a big sample size if we can just be consistently decent defensively. Like, I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm not sitting here screaming roster or anything, man. It's just because there's so many silly mistakes we make that don't make sense and aren't explainable due to roster composition. So clean those up, and I think we can still be a pretty good defense, a good enough defense to maybe make some noise in the postseason. It's just we got to get there. And if we clean it up and we're still struggling, then we'll be talking trades around the trade deadline.
Yep.
So, but let's jump into the players. Krish, I sent you the tweets. We can jump into the tweets after that. Let me get this up here. Shout out to Damian I Tried Lillard. He looked good tonight. You know, he aggravated that ab injury and all of a sudden has had a couple good games. You know, or he aggravated in the middle of last game and had a good game tonight. So that's why I wasn't sitting here thinking it was the ab injury, because he's played through that in previous years and had really good performances. Tonight, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 12 for 23 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. I wish we could get him more open catch-and-shoot threes. Yeah. That would be nice, but we don't. He was 11 for 19 inside the arc, though, and that was with him not getting calls on plays where last year I think he would have gotten calls. So only 4 free throw attempts despite him attacking relentlessly. I mean, he shot 19 shots inside the arc and only got 4 free throws. I think that's kind of crazy. Only 2 turnovers tonight for 7 assists. That's pretty good. Played 38 minutes tonight.
Yeah, solid game from Dame. Like you said, I wish we could find a way to get him some catch and shoot threes instead of always coming off pick and roll or whatever. But yeah, he was hitting his mid-range shot today, so that was a good sign to see, and still fairly aggressive. So pretty happy with the way Dame played, but unfortunately, yeah, the 38 minutes on the second night of a back-to-back is probably not ideal, and that's why I wish when our second unit is struggling, maybe we don't play them as much, and when they're playing well, maybe extend their minutes a little bit and get him just a few more minutes of rest, and then he can come back and dominate the last 5 minutes of the game instead of the last 7 and be tired at the end or whatever. But yeah, other than that, it's good to see Dame have a good string of games recently.
Agreed. Next up is, man, I don't know why they're out of order. This been doing. I just muted myself. It's been doing that the last couple streams where it's out of order, so I have to put them in mentally or manually. I can't talk all of a sudden either. So let me put in our second best player tonight, which was Norman Powell. There you go. Norm Time Powell. 23 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 29 minutes. He needs more PT, man. He needs more playing time. Like, CJ needs less, Norman needs more. 8 for 17 from the field, efficient once again. 3 for 8. He was our only player that could make a freaking 3-point shot. I mean, we shot, 4 for 22 without him, and he shoots 3 for 8? That's solid.
I mean, I think it was 1 for 6 at one point in the game, though.
Yeah, made his last 2. But, I mean, he's been our best 3-point shooter all year long. I mean, Anthony's a close second, but Norm's been an absolute sniper, and that continues, and he's been able to get to the line. I mean, I just love the way Norm's playing offensively lately. He attacks, man. He just goes downhill and he attacks the rim, and then he's a sniper on the 3-point line. I mean, he looks great. Wish we could get him more than 29 minutes.
Yeah, and in addition to more minutes, I want to expand his role on offense, because I feel like when he cuts, good things happen. When he gets the ball in the corner, he's either open and shooting threes, or he's making stuff happen off the dribble. And he's normally getting by his defender and getting to the rim. And if not, he's kicking out if he doesn't have a shot. So until that gets shut down, or it becomes like a thing where it's inefficient, which it hasn't been at all this year, keep going to it. Go to it more. Push the ball up. Get him some more of those secondary fast breaks where you're just throwing it up the sideline and he can make something happen if it's there, and if not, we can run a set. But I still think this guy could run more of the offense if we needed him to. But right now he's pretty much just there if he gets the ball, or if he makes a good cut when Nurk has the ball, it turns out well. But for anyone else in the game or any other points, it's just not, I don't think we're using him enough for how efficient he's been.
Yep, and he was the main defender on Devin Booker today. after being the main defender and doing a good job on Paul George yesterday. Devin Booker today, Eric, 5 for 15 from the field, only 12 points. So once again, a good game defensively for Norman Powell. He's been doing it on both sides of the court the past few games. And next guy we have up is going to be Christian James McCollum, who was a bit of a hot topic today. CJ batted NBA McCollum. 18 points. I wouldn't say that, Chris, but I mean, Chris was frustrated with CJ, and I had my moments frustrated with CJ. At the end of the third quarter was inexcusable. You look at his stat line, and it's like he shoots almost half his shots are threes despite his three ball not falling, Eric. When he attacked, he made good things happen. A lot of his assists came when he attacked, and he was 6 for 9 inside the arc. You know, it's just like that's the frustrating thing. So off success when he attacks, he's not hitting his jumper, and then he'll settle for a step back three that's contested. And it's I feel like it's frustrating for the team when you have a guy kind of hijack the offense, dribble the ball a little bit too much, and then take a step back shot. The problem is that we're kind of stagnant in general, so it's sort of a situation where CJ might feel like he needs to do that because the offense isn't. We had 14 assists tonight, 16 turnovers, more turnovers than assists. But I wish he would just, when he has it going downhill, when he's attacking well, I wish he would just try and do that more often instead of settling for some of the contested step back jumpers he does.
Yeah, overall, if you take out those couple things we complained about, I didn't think he was terrible. A couple of really bad shots. He just has a knack of taking a bad shot at the wrong time, and it kills our momentum. Like tonight, we had gone on a run, and he takes like a contested 18-foot fadeaway sideline jumper, and bricks it. And of course, he can hit that sometimes, but like it's just in that situation, it's not the right shot. So to me, you look at this. So, actually think this might. Are our team stats off?
What do you mean?
Well, it said Dame. Did it say Dame had 7 assists too?
Yeah, Dame and CJ both had 7 assists.
So we had
24. We had 24 assists tonight.
Yeah.
Come on, Chris. We just did a whole segment about how we had 14 assists, Chris. Come on, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that didn't seem right, but
I need to double check and make sure things are good to go. We caught the typo today. So 24 assists. Okay, that's not as bad.
Yeah. That's decent. But
I was gonna say, like I said, 14 seemed to, despite how stagnant we were, I was a little surprised to see 14.
Well, what I was gonna say is, if you're only getting that amount of assists and it's all Dame and CJ, then that's part of the problem is we're relying too much on them to create the offense. But
yeah, we have 3 good passing bigs.
Yeah,
we have 3 good passing bigs. Utilize them.
And I mean, Nurk had. Oh, we'll get to him in a second. I'll just wait to comment.
Yeah, let's move on. I don't know who's next. I think it's Larry Nance Jr. Hey, Eric! Larry Nance Jr. played! Round of applause. Larry Nance Jr. finally played more than 20 minutes. 27 minutes. 13 points. 5 rebounds. 3 assists for the passing. He can pass the ball. He can pass the ball. Look good defensively. 6 for 7 from the field. 1 for 2 from 3. Play the man, please. It's like when he's out there, I feel more calm. I feel more like, okay, we might actually be able to put together a couple good defensive possessions.
Yep. And he played really well in that run that we made in the fourth quarter. But yeah, the only thing negative is he has really bad turnovers.
It's a situation where like people are kind of like standing around, I feel like, right, and he's waiting for somebody to cut. He picks up his dribble and like everybody's just kind of standing around, and then he'll try and force something, Yeah,
that's true. But for how little we're using him, I mean, like I understand we used him a lot more than we had been tonight, but as a role player, you can't have 3 turnovers if you're not like the huge main focal point of the offense. So he's just got to cut that down. And if he does that and has this kind of game, then we're talking about how amazing he was tonight, and we might even have been in the game at the end and had a chance to win. So that's my only knock on him. But overall, this was probably his best game as a Blazer overall. And once again, I can't blame the switching on him in the fourth quarter because like the guards were just automatically switching when our bigs guy was going to set the screen, and he has to come out on Chris Paul or whoever has the ball in those situations. So I can't necessarily blame him for the switching, just like I don't blame Nurk. Zeller's been, I don't know, the way he guards is different than the way Nurk and Nance guard, so I don't know if he's just not executing the plan right or what's going on there. But Nance overall definitely his best game, and thankfully he actually got minutes too because of it.
Yep, let's move on to Nasir Little, who's up next. I really like the way Nasir Little played. I mean, he plays with energy, man, and when we lack energy on the road, I wish he would play more. He played 22 minutes tonight, 3 for 5 from the field, missed 2 threes. He's kind of struggling to knock down 3-point shots, but his drives to the basket, his slashing ability, he's showing some craftiness when attacking the basket. It's nice. It's nice to see. We need more activity. We need guys that can attack the rim. We need guys that play with heart defensively, and he's been doing that. So I like that he played over 20 minutes. I think he should have gotten even more. A good game for him tonight.
Yeah, he had that one really bad turnover, offensive foul. But here's my problem. He's shooting this very confidently. I think it looks good. But he's shown a great ability to kind of take a jump stop and create space and then elevate and get his shot over pretty much any defender. And when you have a guy that's skilled enough to do that, why are we not getting him any cuts to the basket? Other than obviously he had the dunk in transition, but that's not like within a set on the offense. That's just like a freelance play in a fast break. Great pass by Ant on that one, by the way. But like, other than that, like, why aren't we using his slashing ability to create baskets? Why does he have to get the ball up top and create off the dribble to score? And that's one of my main problems with this kind of offense is we're doing nothing to still, as we begged for years, to use these guys' athleticism to get cuts to the basket. And, I mean, how many lobs or buckets, like layups, do we get out of our half-court offense other than, like, straight-line drives to the basket if they're open? But, like, we play other teams, and they're constantly getting lobs to JaVale McGee and players like that. Hartenstein's getting easy dump-off passes the whole game. But we have none of our guys who should be really good at catching lob passes or slashing to the basket get those opportunities. And it continues to be a frustration for me, despite the change in coaching, that we're still not doing enough to get these guys better shot quality and easy buckets.
Yeah, and that charge that he had, Eric, one of the very next possessions, he drove and had a really nice dump-off pass for a layup.
Yep.
So I like that, he didn't get scared that he charged and then didn't attack. He kept attacking and made the right play. And to learn from, those mistakes. And, I mean, you kind of saw in the game, attacks creates for others. And we need guys that can do that, especially from the forward positions. So I like what I've seen of Nas this year. Just when he's bringing the most energy of anybody on the team, because there's a lot of road games where he's bringing more energy than anybody else on the team, play him more, because I feel like that uplifts the energy of everyone else. And I mean, plus minus has a lot of noise, but I mean, he's a 0 in 22 minutes. I feel like, I mean, he was like a minus 15 or something last game, so that's the noise of it. I just feel like sometimes we need an energy guy in the game, and Nas can be that energy guy. So especially when he's able to attack and get things going offensively and he's playing solid defensively, he should be getting the chance to play about at least 25, 30 minutes on nights where other players don't have it in terms of the energy department.
That's why I want to see him play more with Nurk. I want to see Nurk and Norm and Nas play together some. and then you have Nance in there too, and then it doesn't really matter who the other guard is, but you have a situation where like those guys could maybe cut more and feed off of that energy, and if Norm cuts and it's not there, then Nas can cut and maybe go through and get like a secondary cut that the defense wasn't ready for. So yeah, just it's frustrating, but Joe brings up a good point that I wanted to mention about Nas. So after his charge, Chauncey was heated at him, and he was yelling at him, and he was mad about it. And then a few plays later, thankfully he left him in the game. But Nas had a great rotation on a lob to JaVale McGee, and he contested it from behind. It looked like a block in real time, but he got him on the arm, and it was a foul. But Chauncey called him over and gave him a high five, and he was like, "That's how I want you to play." And he was like punching him in the chest, like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I want you to do. I know that's in there." And so just the confidence to maybe in years past to get yanked out in this situation and lose some confidence because you made one bad mistake. And Chauncey did keep him in there, and then was pumping him up when he made a good play. And those are the kind of plays we need on defense, because we're not scheme-wise has been very, very bad game plan-wise the last few games. So we need guys to have energy and fly around, like you said. And so why not just throw Nas out there if the team looks lethargic? I agree with that. Just let him get these minutes, because we're losing anyway on the road. Might as well let him develop into that kind of player we need if we're not going to win.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like Chauncey got mad at him for that play. I wish he would get on other players, man. I don't want this to be a situation where it's just Nas, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Obviously you can
I think he got mad at
picks up, but
it might be our next person, but I think he got mad at
is Nurk? Nurk's up next, Eric.
Yeah, I think Chauncey got mad at Nurk tonight too.
Why did he get mad at Nurk for?
I think it was the second offensive foul. It's just like he's getting in. People can get in Nurk's head sometimes, and then he, will lower his shoulder a little bit too much or move when he doesn't have to. He's a massive human being. Like he sets great screens without moving. So just, I don't know why he does that sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, trying to set a better screen and crossing the line. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's hard to be too mad about. He's trying to set great screens. It's better than the Whiteside, like, kind of just... Whiteside didn't set the best screens, you know what I mean? Didn't really make much of an effort to. So, but Nurkic has to rein it in a little bit, because he's been called... There's been multiple games where he has multiple moving screens so far this season, and... How many did he have today? I think he had 2 at least. Yeah,
at least 2, yeah.
2 of those 3 turnovers are moving screens,
Yeah.
But,
and then one was a terrible Dame cut, but it wasn't open. He tried to thread the needle, and it wasn't even close to happening. It was really bad.
I don't hate those turnovers as much, because if it gets through, we're making a layup. You know what I mean?
No, he threw it behind him, and it wasn't there at all. It was that particular one is bad. Normally, I'd agree with you, but it wasn't even close to being there.
Yeah, I mean, have to learn to pick your spots, but at least we're trying to get a high quality shot. Like the idea is right. The vision, like recognizing the situation, is wrong.
But that was from the top of the key, and once again, I felt like when he gets the ball in other positions, he sees the floor better, and it's easier for him to throw those bounce passes to a cutter in the middle of the paint at an angle from the side versus straight off the hoop, where you kind of have to be wide open on those cuts, or it's a really tough pass to get through. It's got to be like pinpoint precision, and even then it might still get deflected on the way there. So I wish there was a way to get him the ball more often. I felt like they did a good job at times in this game of trying to run through him at different places, but not the entire game. And then he kind of shook himself out of the game in this one with the fouls.
I like that we're utilizing his playmaking a little bit more, though. I don't think it's enough, but he has 3 assists in 19 minutes tonight. So we're starting to utilize his passing ability a little bit more. We're seeing hints. It's just not as much as I want to see. In finishing tonight, he's 4 for 7. You'll take that. He had a couple nice moves, kind of crafty lay-ins. His finishing, I think this is the best he's ever finished in his career. And it's funny because everybody loves to just say, "Oh, he can't finish." I mean, the proof is in the facts. The proof is in the stats, right? The dude is shooting 70% at the rim. He was 15th tonight in terms of field goal percentage going into this game. Eric dropped that stat earlier. So, I mean, I don't know how you argue with those facts. Like, that's not a plus-minus stat that needs context or anything. That's legitimately how he's finishing. Let me get the updated numbers. Going into tonight's game, he was shooting, 61% from 2, including 69% from 0 to 3 feet, which is good. So he continues to finish the ball pretty well tonight.
Yeah, one of his misses tonight was one where he tried to tip in and it rimmed out.
Which you'll
hard to
don't even count that. You know what I mean? That's a hustle play. I mean, he's been finishing the ball well this year, so I like that. Just got to utilize his playmaking defensively. He's been very solid. So
one thing I do want to bring up is, so I don't think Kaminsky and Nurk's minutes overlapped a ton in this game because Nurk didn't play a lot, but obviously at the beginning of the game and the beginning of the third quarter were JaVale McGee minutes, although McGee got taken out a minute and a half into the game, or into the third quarter. But Nurk, the times when he's in there against Frank Kaminsky, or there were times where he got switched onto Cam Johnson or someone like that was guarding him. I don't understand why we don't try to just throw it in and get an easy bucket when our offense isn't playing well. And then if you have cutters, he's more than willing to pass out. If you have an open three-point shooter, he'll kick out to the corners. But I just don't understand why we don't try to get him a couple easy buckets, or maybe even have him come from one side to the other and steal his guy under the hoop and do a quick pass into him where he's got his guy or a smaller guy sealed under the basket and he can just turn around and dunk it or lay it in. I just want to exploit that a little more, and hopefully we take advantage of mismatches, because we see tonight, how many times did we have a smaller guy switch on to Frank Kaminsky of all people, and he took advantage of it? There's no reason why we can't take advantage of mismatches like that.
Yep, and then I was going to type this, but Arwin says, Nurk's not a factor. Like I said, give him his 15 and limit Dame or CJ, and you will beat the Blazers every time. That's not the case.
What?
B, you can say that about any third best player. Oh, if you let the third best player get his and then limit one of the top two guys, you'll beat him. That doesn't even... This is not even a basketball argument. That's kind of a cliche argument. I was going to type out my response to that, but I don't feel like it. So, moving on. We got Robert Clutch Winky Face Covington. 7 points, 2 rebounds tonight. 3 for 4 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. He's been... Offensively, he's been doing some different things. He had 2 two-pointers today, Eric, after 6 assists last night, so he's doing stuff now. What were your thoughts on Robert Covington?
I liked his drives this game. I liked that he was finishing around the hoop. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's tough to blame any one player when our scheme is... and our game plan is that poor. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really notice Covington a lot tonight, I guess, good or bad.
Yeah, he was kind of flew under the radar and only played 23 minutes, which I don't have an issue with, because Larry Nance Jr. played more than him. Finally. I mean, I don't know necessarily that Robert Covington deserved only 23 minutes tonight, because I don't know. I don't think he was as bad. I think he's kind of slightly rounding back into form defensively. He's not all the way there yet. The issues aren't fixable for him. You know what I mean? He can't fix all our issues that we showed tonight. He just has to control what he can control, which is not overhelping and being in the right position defensively. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's a situation where I have to see multiple games from him to notice a different trend, because he was trending negatively defensively, and it's going to take a few games before I sit here and say, okay, he's finally back to playing like old Rocco.
Yeah.
So next up, we got Cody Zeller, who was bad tonight, Eric. I don't even remember what. I just remember there was a stretch where he, like, defense and offense had, like, a bad 4 straight possessions. And I was just like, please take him out of the freaking game. And I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I just remember thinking he was played.
And then somehow he's a +2.
And somehow he's a +2 after being a -10. Like, that's the noise with the plus minus. There's the noise, guys, because he played, I think, his worst game of the season today. Defensively, was completely lost, which just doesn't make sense, because he's always been thought of as a smart defender during his time in Charlotte. So why does he come here and then suck? I don't get it. But he looked like Enes Kanter-esque defensively. We were running drop scheme with him in. Don't run freaking drop scheme, but like, he does not run drop scheme well. He runs, like, as a hedger or a trapper, which we haven't trapped enough this season, in my opinion. He looks a lot better than when he runs drop. He struggles to run drop. He sags too much, doesn't get a hand up, isn't the best rim protector, so I don't like that we're running that with him in there, but he was lost defensively, and offensively had 2 turnovers in 13 minutes. That he shouldn't have 2 turnovers, and had a drive and just got his stuff stuffed. He got his shot stuffed. I forget who blocked him, but yeah, drive was just comical the way he got blocked. He just struggled today.
Yeah, not a good game. We need to find a way to, once again, lock in better game plans with especially with how our bigs are defending. Yeah, we had great success with Nurkic, especially pushing the ball handler out on the pick and rolls. Cody did well the first few games and then kind of stuck with them too long. But that should have been an easily correctable thing. And instead, we've gone from just correcting that back to what was working earlier in the season to not even showing on the picks now. It makes no sense to me, especially against a team like Phoenix with dangerous guards that love the mid-range. So I did not understand the game plan at all tonight. Whether that was the players just executing it poorly, or whether Billups just had a very bad game tonight, maybe a little of both. It's just frustrating to see someone who's smart look like he has no clue what he's doing on that end, when it's obvious that it's not necessarily all on him. But yeah, it's just, I just wish we'd pressure more and be more aggressive. And I think that would solve a lot of our problems on the road right now.
Yep, I agree. Let's move on to Anthony Simons, who struggled shooting the ball tonight. We already talked about him a bit. Is there anything else you want to say that we haven't said about him? I like this. I like this nickname. Ant, be right back, Simons.
I do like that Ant's finally seemingly. I mean, his stats don't jump out on you, but I feel like he's doing a better job overall of contributing, even when the shot's not falling. Just wish, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if did he really have 0 turnovers? I thought he lost the ball a couple times on drives.
I think he got it back.
He might have gotten it back, yeah.
Yeah, he had 0 turnovers. That's what ESPN says. So
yeah. So, anyways, I like that he's attacking still, and he just missed shots tonight. But overall, I didn't really have a lot of problems with the way he played. I just wish he would, when he's not hitting, not take as many contested threes.
Yeah, I'm not worried about his shot or anything.
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah.
He's still doing a good job attacking the interior. I mean, he was shooting 57% from 2 going into this game after shooting 40% last season. I mean, He was not a threat to drive, and now he is. Like, he's able to consistently put some pressure on the rim. And then he's made, he's not somebody that's going to get like 6 or 7 assists in a game, but overall, I think his passing has looked better. And at this point, we know he's a guy that can knock down shots. So a little bit of a slump right now, but all his misses are extremely, extremely close. So it's just a bad shooting night. You know what I mean? It's not like he's airballing. It's not like he's barely hitting front of rim. Like, everything he shoots is hitting the inside of the rim. So at some point, those are just going to start falling. Like, there's no reason to worry about his shooting. Last player we got is Tony Snell. Didn't do much today. I don't really have anything to say. Except for happy birthday, because apparently it's his birthday today.
Yeah, he turned 30 today, so happy birthday, Tony.
Yeah, we're not singing happy birthday again, guys. All right?
But yeah, kind of. I mean, his one shot was he had to shoot a deep three because it was against the shot clock. But other than that, kind of unnoticeable when he was out there, which I guess is better than making mistakes. So, but in a game like this where we're getting beat off of guard play, I'd almost rather give those minutes to Dennis Smith Jr. and see if he can kind of get in there and mix it up and fight through some of those screens and
or just
stay
play
with the ball handle.
Play Norm and Larry Nance Jr. more.
Yeah.
Play Nas more. You know what I mean? I don't think we need to be playing Tony Snell right now.
Yeah.
So I kind of would want him outside the rotation at this point. But yeah, all right. Let's hop into tweets of the game. Look, there's the picture. There's the legends, Eric. There's the legends, Carson and Dro. You guys looking good, man. Looking good. So shout out to
represent, and that's cool seeing you guys meet up.
Yeah, that's dope. I got to meet a couple people. The game I attended, so it's cool to kind of like connect with y'all myself. So to see two of you guys meet up in person in Phoenix, that's pretty dope. So also I like the way that Chris did this graphic. We're gonna bring tweets of the game back. I need to get some cool background music for this segment. But I appreciate both of y'all. You guys are both very supportive and mean a lot to us and the community.
For sure.
Up next, Sean Camarada. So we're not gonna guard Kaminsky, man. I mean, we've been saying that. Just insert a role player. We're not going to guard Dylan Windler. So we're not going to guard Nick Batum. So we're not going to guard Harrison Barnes. I mean, that's just the way it goes. We play Houston next, so it could be a number of obscure role players. I feel like we're going to be saying, so we're not going to guard Armani Brooks, huh? That's coming up next game. Oh, goodness, I can't wait. We'll preview that next game tomorrow on Blazers Uprise. A live link in description. Third tweet, Trevin, maybe that Draymond Green or PJ Tucker type guy needs to be Zeller's replacement in the rotation. If Zeller keeps playing like this, honestly, I like the idea of Larry Nance Jr. kind of playing the Draymond role as the backup center and maybe just getting another like Robert Covington type of 3-and-D 4-man next to him off the bench, maybe going out and getting that at the trade deadline, because I like Larry Nance Jr. as a center. I would say small ball center, but honestly, he's not that small for a backup center and can handle the ball and knock down some shots. So he can kind of play that Draymond Green small ball center role with the bench lineup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
So, alrighty. Do you want to watch Chauncey's interview?
Yes, let's
do it. I probably won't pause it much, so you can just chime up if you want me to pause it, Eric.
Sounds good.
Let me go to Portland Trail Blazers. All right, there we go. It's up 8 minutes ago, so perfect timing. Let me get this up. All right. Hold on. I need like a separate scene for Chauncey, maybe with like a nameplate or something. That's something I should come up with. All right. Chauncey Billups, apologies for the ad. Especially since it's an Oregon Duck ad, Eric. No. we're gonna get hate for that. I'm not a Duck fan. Eric's not a Duck fan. No Ducks commercials, man. All right, Chauncey Billups, 8 minutes 44 seconds. Let's go. Weird camera angle.
Yeah. We played hard, man. We played really hard. I think we're figuring out how hard we have to play. But there's too many mental errors, man. Too many mental errors and defensive collapses and breakdowns. We give ourselves a chance. I mean, you shoot it poorly like that, 7 for 30. And we was 0 for 13 at the half. We're still fighting, still fighting. And that's what you want to see, you know. But I think, you know, at some point, and you know how hard it is to win on the road in this league. If you don't play from the neck up a little bit better, it makes it tough.
There's been, you know, like in every NBA team, I can see you guys talking, you with other players, players with you. Is that more them asking questions, or is it debate that I think we should do this, you're doing that?
You saying other teams?
No, you guys, you with your players. I've
Oh,
noticed a lot of
yeah.
that, you know, in timeouts and stuff, debating and stuff. I'm just trying to understand the nature of it. Is it them not understanding it and you trying to explain it to them, or are you guys having debates about what type of coverages to use?
No, ain't no debates. Ain't no debates. We know what coverages we're in. A lot of that is me asking them kind of what was they thinking, you know. And if we're in this coverage, why did we do this coverage, you know? But nah, there's no debates on that. We're very clear about what we want to be in, what coverage at the time. There's not been a lot of miscommunication on that.
Yeah. Where are you on the line of showing patience with these guys, but also having the urgency? The same thing I asked you as you guys were entering the season. But that's a tricky line.
It's a thin line. It's a thin line. My patience is basically just trying to, you know, teach and, you know, get across what we want, you know. But I got urgency every day. I got urgency every single day. I'm trying to win every single game. And but I also have to be realistic, you know, and understand that like it takes time when you're changing things. And the patience is tough. It's really tough because you see it sometimes, and then sometimes you're just like, damn, what happened? You know. So it's a very thin line, you know. But I'm man, I'm trying to win every game, man. Every single game, you know.
But you're asking them for buy-in to what you're trying to do. And I imagine you have to kind of buy into them and live with their mistakes. Is that what
Well, you have to. You have to. That's a part of the process. Part of the process is there will be backslides. You know, and I'm talking in game. You know, that hurt you. Some of those debates that you see. Those are the backslides. You know, and that's me saying like, what are we doing? We talked about this already. And so like, you know, it makes it tough at times. You know, it makes it very tough at times because you end up talking about and showing the same defensive breakdowns.
There's never been a better time for epic savings.
Game to game to game, you know. But I ain't letting off the gas though, because I know what it takes to win in this league, and the good teams do it every night. I ain't letting off the gas. It just is what it is.
You went a pretty big substitution early in the third quarter. You went, I think, Rocco and Nance, was it? Why'd you do that so early this
I
time?
felt like Nurk and Rocco was tired. I felt like they were tired early. You know, it's back to back. Felt like they were, you know, late on a couple of coverages. And I always feel like our bench guys bring us energy that we need. And I think it's good sometimes to have that energy in there around Dame and CJ because they play at such a, you know, even pace all the time. I think a lot of times having energy guys around them helps us.
And you had some success with your small lineup at the beginning of the fourth. Did you like that?
I did. I liked it just as a little bit of a change up. You know, obviously Kaminsky had a big night. You know, I didn't see that coming.
Another one to add to the list.
It's just another one to the list. I mean, we make some some players pretty
earning some money.
Pretty good sometimes.
How do you explain that? Like on a night where you hold Booker at 12, someone who's averaging 9 on the season comes in and gets 31.
You know what? That speaks to. I mean, it's the NBA, right? And all these guys are really good, man. And most of them have roles that if they were in a different role, they'll probably be better.
I don't like that answer.
Yeah, I don't like this answer either because you gave up a career high to a guy who's been in the league for like 8 years, or maybe less than 8 years. Maybe it's more like 6, 7. I don't know. Like, dude's been in the league for a while and you give up a career high. So it's not just that. And he's had like it's the defense. I'm not liking this press conference, but we're also not asking him like the right questions.
Yeah.
I'll play the rest of it.
Frank's been in the league for a long time, and he's a really skilled player. You know, he can shoot it, he can post a little bit, he can pass. You just never see it anymore because when they're healthy, he don't play at all. And so a guy like there he can jump out there and have a night. You know, especially when you got Chris kind of controlling the game, manipulating our defense, throwing back. You know, he had a night. You gotta give him credit.
You switched guards onto him, bruh. You switched guards on. What do you? It wasn't even Chris manipulating the defense. You were switching guards onto him. What do you mean? Is he turning into Terry Stotts before our eyes, Eric?
I don't know.
Somebody asked him about switching guards onto... Like, this next question
Yeah.
better be... So you were switching guards onto him, and he was having success with that.
Well, this is the frustrating part about our media is I don't even think any of them think that or know how to... what went wrong to ask him that. You know, they're just asking about, minutes and if they're retired and how much patience do you have and things like that. And he doesn't really, he hasn't really gotten any, he hasn't gotten any like strategy questions really this season.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a bunch of questions that you could come up with if you didn't watch the game.
Yeah.
So, 2 minutes left. Let's see. Sorry, the audio is so quiet.
They were able to run a lot, especially in the first half, to do a lot of force you guys to switch, and then he ended up inside with CJ.
Aaron Fentress, thank you. Okay, Aaron Fentress been
What was the question? I couldn't.
He's asking about switching. Like, it's very faint, but I heard the word switch.
Fentress, whoa.
Thank you, Fentress. Good job, Aaron.
So they were able to run a lot, especially in the first half, to do a lot of force you guys to switch, and then he ended up inside with CJ, Powell on him. Is that a situation where the defense is not doing what it's supposed to do, or you guys just?
No, we were switching at that time. I just felt like even when we switched, we would be okay guarding him.
Wait, you were just gassing him up. Now you said, "Oh, I felt like when we switched the guard onto him, we were gonna be okay." You're contradicting yourself, Chauncey. Doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. Shout out to Aaron Fentress, man, for asking the good question. Yeah, no, it was by design, Eric. You're right.
I told you.
Guarding him down low, and it proved me wrong. You gotta give him credit. He took advantage of the matchups down there.
At least he said he was wrong.
Yeah. Learn from
last year.
But the frustrating part to me though is you gotta learn that mistake as it's happening in the game. And it killed us in the fourth quarter just like it did in the first quarter. And you can't just do that the whole game. You need to find a way to get out of it and get your players to stop switching at that time.
Yeah, I mean, if he learns from this, then cool. You know what I mean? I just hope he learns from this. Like, I don't know. 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 At least he's willing to admit when he's wrong, and at least he has the excuse of this only being game number 12 that matters that he's coached instead of 9 years. So hopefully he learns from this.
So if you could pick a word to describe where you guys are at or what's going on with you guys, how would you describe that?
What's going on? Or where we're at?
Pick a word.
You can use two.
Under construction.
Under construction.
Under construction. Okay.
2 words. I gave you 2.
Yeah. And speaking of that, is construction on schedule, unlike the remodel?
It's going good. I really do think it's going good. We're having some good moments, man. Like when I come in here and I tell you like we played hard enough to win, I can live with that. I can live with that. Now my expectations start to be bigger and better. We should play hard every single night, this hard, back to back. Now let's just start playing a little smarter, right? That's the next level, and do it for longer is the thing. But I'm happy with where we are. Of course, I wish we were winning more games on the road, or a game on the road at this point. But I'm very happy with where we are. I just think we got to keep going. We got a ways to go.
James said a similar thing last night. I asked him how he seen progress, and he said, he was clearly frustrated. And then he asked him some progress, and he said yes, and then explained how you're making, it's just frustrating along the way, trying to get there.
Book your perfect stay quickly and easily in
No, I don't want to use booking.com. Apologies. That's the end of the interview. Cut off kind of in the middle. Sorry, their interviews have been crap. I need to get back into my ad-free account. So, yeah. Let me close that down. Alrighty. So,
This is. I wish. So they asked the question. Good job, Ventress, right?
yeah.
The next question needs to be, why did you continue switching the whole game then if it wasn't working? You admit that it wasn't working. How come I saw it every possession in the fourth quarter if you knew it wasn't working the whole game? So
Yeah, that would have been a great question.
instead it's like, hey, name a word that describes your team. It's just frustrating that we can't get a follow-up to that. I mean, that's something you ask him like in an interview between games or whatever. That's not like a post-game break down the game kind of question. But I know, I mean, that's what quick.
I'm gonna start asking you to do that. Pick a word, Eric.
Please don't.
That's gonna be the first thing I ask you next loss. All right, so this team looked really bad tonight. Eric, pick a word or maybe two to describe this performance.
I'm gonna have to get my Neil Olshey calendar word of the day, and I'll just start reading that to you if you do that.
Yeah, you better hurry up and formulate that before it's rendered irrelevant.
This team needs to bifurcate.
Especially since Neil's like gonna bifurcate his way out of office, man. Yeah. I mean, oh my goodness. Anyway, we got around the NBA is going to be jam packed. Let me get it up into here, and then we're going to wrap up the stream. We'll be live tomorrow with picks against the spread. We should have done a stream today to preview this game since there was 13 games for picks against the spread. We should have just switched it from Thursday to Wednesday because there's only 3 games tomorrow, unfortunately. Yeah, I hate only 3 games for picks against the spread. That's kind of depressing. But it'll give us more time to talk about other stuff. But we're going to do this quicker than normal, by the way. Let me get everything into here. There we go. All right, so 13 games today. I haven't seen pretty much any of these scores, so these are going to be new to me, like they are to you.
There'll be an exciting one at the end to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know which game that is, but we shall see. The Wizards beat the Cavs 97-94. The Cavs were 7-4 going into this game. Washington and Cavs are probably the 2 surprise teams so far in the East. Montrezl Harrell had a good game. Ricky Rubio with 20 points. He recently had a 37-point game, so Ricky Rubio has been a good pickup for Cleveland. The Nets beat the Magic 123 to 90, a blowout win for Brooklyn. KD has 30, James Harden has 17 on only 11 shot attempts, but also has 11 assists and 11 rebounds, so triple-double for him. LaMarcus Aldridge, 21 points off the bench. He's been having some good games. As far as Orlando goes, they had 17 off the bench from Terrence Ross. Mo Bamba had 14 points and 9 boards. Jalen Suggs continues to struggle to shoot the ball, 0 for 4 from 3, 2 for 8 from the field, 7 points, 4 assists. Hopefully my guy can figure out how to shoot the ball, because once he figures that out, it'll open everything up for him. He's just struggling in that department so far this season.
I saw a tweet saying that the Magic starting lineup was like the best net rating in the NBA or something.
What?
That's going to take a hit tonight.
What?
It was some weird. I don't know how.
Is their bench just the worst bench in
I
NBA
forgot what it
history,
was,
then?
but yeah.
That's good. I mean, Wendell Carter has had some good games, and Mo Bamba is kind of having a breakout year, like a delayed breakout year, and Franz Wagner has looked good as a rookie. You got, honestly, considering the position Orlando was going into the season, they've had some good things develop, you know, like they've of course want Jalen Suggs to look better, but he's just missing shots. I think he'll figure out his shot and be completely fine and kind of be the player that they expected him to be. Everything else, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba, Cole Anthony, they've all looked pretty good as some of their young pieces. So this has been a pretty good season so far for Orlando, in my opinion. The first game on ESPN today was Houston versus Detroit. Houston versus Detroit. The reason that was the first game on it was ESPN today. The reason that was the first game was because you had the matchup between Cade Cunningham for the Detroit Pistons, number 1 overall pick, and Jalen Green, the number 2 overall pick for the Houston Rockets, which we'll see 2 days from now.
Actually, kind of like that ESPN.
Yeah. Like, you see the same teams all year long. We never see Detroit or Houston. You got 2 top rookies in a low draft class. I like that they televised that. Some people were questioning it, and I was questioning why they were questioning it. Cade Cunningham had 20 points. He shot 8 for 18 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3. Good 3-point shooting night for him. Also had 4 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block. On the other side of things, Jalen Green in 38 minutes had 23 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists on 8 for 20 shooting. So I would say Cade Cunningham won that battle, and the Detroit Pistons won the game. They had 35 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists from Jeremy Grant. So a big game for him. Sadiq Bey with 16 points, only on 6 for 17 shooting, though. For the Rockets, they had... This is the team we're facing next, so maybe a little bit of a preview here. 11 off the bench from Eric Gordon, who I forgot was even on the team. They paid him a horrible contract, so they can't get rid of him. They had 23 from Jalen Green, as I said, 20 from Christian Wood, 18 points, 5 assists from Kevin Porter Jr., and 14 points for Jayshawn Tate. We will preview that Houston Rockets game tomorrow. Game number 4, the Bucks beat the Knicks 112-100. Pat Connaughton, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists for the Milwaukee Bucks. Patty fastball, Eric. Look at him go.
He's been shooting with confidence, letting it fly.
Mm-hmm. He's been stepping up. They've been missing Chris Middleton, and he's replaced some of his production. Last game, they had a 25-point game from Grayson Allen, so just as long as one of those 2 guys gives them a good offensive night, a 20-point game, Milwaukee's able to stay competitive because they're missing Brook Lopez as well. Drew Holiday's missed some games. They've been a bit banged up. Giannis in this game in 38 minutes was only 5 for 15 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3. That's a weird... That's like opposite of what Giannis normally has been throughout his career. Normally he's efficient from 2 and can't make a 3. He's 2 for 5 from 3 and 3 for 10 from 2. It doesn't make much sense. He had 15 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. The Milwaukee Bucks finally reach 500. You had, in game number 5, the Celtics beat the Raptors 104-88. Where's the box score, ESPN? There it is. It's all out of order for me. You had 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists from Scotty Barnes, who's a rookie that we'll see on November 15th, only 5 days from now. So we got some good rookies coming up. He had a great game for them. Pascal Siakam's back in 30 minutes, 3 for 7, only 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. He's definitely a bit rusty for Gary Trent Jr., since he's a former Blazer, 6 for 12, 14 points, 2 for 7 from 3. For the Celtics, they had 22 from Tatum, 20 from Schroeder, 15 off the bench from Josh Richardson.
This is their first home win.
First home win. So they're the opposite of
They're
us.
the opposite of us, yeah. But
Yeah.
they got their win finally. But they've only had 4 home games, I think. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, you better win it. I mean, it makes more sense for it to be our way. You know, it still doesn't make sense, but it makes more sense for it to be our way. The Hornets beat the Grizzlies 118-108. They had a phenomenal performance off the bench from Kelly Oubre Jr., 37 points. So even better than he did against us. Gordon Hayward, 25 points. LaMelo Ball only had a 12-point night, but they still get the dub. He almost had a triple-double with 9 rebounds, 8 assists. In the loss, John Morant, 32 points, 8 assists for the Grizzlies. Lots of big-time games, Eric. A lot of big-time fantasy games, if any of you guys actually do fantasy. The Mavericks lose to the Bulls 107-117. Lonzo Ball had 21 points. Luka Doncic 20 points, 10 assists. You have the Pelicans beating the Thunder 108-100. We had two no, that's the Thunder beating the Pelicans. I don't know if I said that. Thunder. That's backwards, Chris.
It's wrong in there. Yep.
Come
the
on,
Thunder
Chris.
beat the Pelicans 108.
Yes. It's very similar colored logos. Normally, when I match up logos, I have multiple colors for that reason, so that it doesn't get confusing. But the Thunder beat the New Orleans. That's 2. We gotta hold Chris to a 3 typo a day limit. The Thunder moved to 4-6. Eric, the Thunder are 4-6. They've faced a lot of easy teams though, and they faced the Lakers. Beat the Lakers twice when the Lakers were missing multiple players. So the Thunder had 27 points from Lou Dort. In the loss, 33 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists for Nickeil Alexander-Walker of the Pelicans. The Spurs put 136 on the Kings, so the worst defense from last year isn't looking too hot. Wow, this box score for the Spurs is interesting. 26 points, 7 assists from DeJounte Murray. They had at least 15 points from DeJounte Murray, your guy Drew Eubanks, Doug McDermott, Thaddeus Young, Bryn Forbes, Lonnie Walker, and Devin Vassell. 7 players with at least 15 points for the Spurs. In the loss, De'Aaron Fox had 37. 101-98, a victory for the Nuggets over the Pacers. You hate to see that, obviously.
Without Jokic.
Yeah, obviously root for Eastern Conference teams against Western Conference teams, but Indiana can't get it done. They've struggled all season long. 30 points for Will Barton. He's been very, very solid this year for them. He had 30 points as well as 3 assists. 19 off the bench from Zeke Naji. Eric, he stepped up and got some playing time due to Jokic being gone, and he had a big game for the Nuggets. For the Pacers, you had 20 from Sabonis, 20 points and 19 boards, 25 points from Malcolm Brogdon, 16 off the bench from TJ McConnell. You got that ugly score up next. That's Blazers, Suns. I don't want to talk about it anymore. You got the Warriors beating the Timberwolves, game number 12. They had 35 points from Andrew Wiggins. So a big performance from him. Steph Curry. Go ahead.
Check out the Timberwolves leadership.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, so Steph Curry, 25 points, 8 for 16. In the loss, Anthony Edwards has 48. So lots of huge performances from players. And in the loss, he tried to carry him. But Karl Anthony Towns didn't help him out that much. Only 6 for 19, 17 points. Naz Reid had 16 off the bench. But yeah, 48 points for Anthony Edwards. He maybe a sleeper for an all-star team, but I don't think the Timberwolves are going to be good enough. They sit at 3-7. And then the final game that just went final because it went into OT. This was the second game of the night on ESPN. The Lakers beat the Heat 120-117. You hate to see it. 27 off the bench from Malik Monk to lead them. Russell Westbrook wasn't much of a Westbrook today. He had 25 points on 10 for 22 from the field and 3 for 7 from 3. He had 14 assists and 12 rebounds as well. Carmelo Anthony, 5 for 12 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, 12 points off the bench. Anthony Davis had 24.
Yeah, that's the game I was talking about. Went into overtime while we were on the air. I was kind of following along the box score. Crazy. Seemed like crazy at the end. There was like a 5-second call and then a turnover, and Melo missed a free throw to give them a chance to tie it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so
sucks that the Heat couldn't have pulled out that game, man. The Heat have been a bad pick for me in terms of picks against the spread, and we're bad tonight again. At least okay, tomorrow there's only 3 games. I'm 0-6 on double downs, so at least tomorrow I think I might have a better chance to finally win a freaking double down. Hopefully, fingers crossed for that. Here's some big-time performances today. As I said, a lot of big performances. And there's some names on here that you don't normally see. Anthony Edwards with 48, Kelly Oubre with 37, De'Aaron Fox, Nickeil Alexander-Walker as well. John Morant's been on this graphic multiple times, but some unheralded players having big-time games. Frank Kaminsky's 31 points couldn't reach this graphic because had a bunch of big-time performances. I mean, every player scored over 32, so even Frank Kaminsky setting a career high couldn't reach this graphic with how many good performances we had tonight, Eric.
Aaron Baines would have been on here. He had 37 against us.
Man. Frank Kaminsky ain't Aaron Baines. Is Aaron Baines even in the league anymore?
I don't know if he got picked up.
I don't think he's on a team, so he went from 37 points against us to out of the league in like 2 years. So let's look at the standings. Anything jump out here, Eric? Other than the fact that we're in freaking 10th?
No, nothing really. I mean, we still have most of the teams we thought would be on the left-hand side there, and most of the teams we thought would be on the right-hand side there.
Except for us.
With the exception of us, even though, we knew we were going to kind of struggle at the beginning of the season. So I don't think it's like alarming that we're on that side. We just don't want to fall too far down in the standings from the middle of the pack, that 3, 4, 5 range. So that's why this loss kind of sucks, because it puts Phoenix several games ahead of us when we could have been right there in the mix.
Could have only been one game back instead. We're 3, so that sucks. Eastern Conference standings, Washington's still number 1, man. The East is just kind of crazy. It's going to be fun to see how this shakes itself out, because I don't expect Washington to stay up there number 1. Chicago looks like the real deal, but they've had an easy schedule. So once we get deeper into the season, we'll have more separation, and teams that have played really easy schedules so far this season will start having to face some more legitimate competition. It'll be interesting to see how certain teams perform.
Yeah.
Here is our next 5. Houston. Eric, I'm nervous because you got to beat the Houston freaking Rockets sitting there at 1-10.
Mm-hmm.
You got to beat the Rockets. I don't even want to focus on any other games. You just got to beat the freaking Rockets, right?
Yeah.
And then you go into Denver with a chance to get back to 500.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come home, where they've been really good at home. So just beat Houston, and then we'll focus on the stretch ahead of that. What were you going to say?
So Houston, like I said, even after tonight, they should be second or third to last in offensive rating. So this is a game where if you're going to start having a good defense, especially on the road where you need to show that, a team like Houston, if you let them abuse you on offense, then that's going to be a bad sign, in my opinion, because that's a team that you should be able to hold or limit how much they score if you're playing good defense. And, I mean, they do have a lot of promising players for the future, but there should be no way that they exploit our defense as much as some of these good teams have. So I expect us to win that game, hopefully. And then we got some home games. I mean, they're against good teams, but we played well at home, so I don't mind. So would be absolutely disaster if we're talking about the end of this trip still being winless on the road and not at least getting that Houston Rockets game.
Yeah, just take care of Houston, man, and then we'll go from there. 5 p.m. tip-off times kind of suck on a Friday and a Sunday. Some of you guys will be more happy with that, but, I mean, Friday's the night where people don't necessarily work the next day. Friday and Sunday nights are always really important for me with my job, since I do Uber Eats and DoorDash on the side. That's how I'm able to stream whenever, because I can make my own hours. But Friday evenings and Sunday evenings are always the most profitable times. So it kind of sucks that we got 5 p.m. tip-off times on Friday and Sunday. But, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting a win on the road against Houston. All right, Eric, anything else that you want to say for the stream before we head off here?
Just appreciate everyone for tuning in, and hopefully after Friday we'll finally get more of a positive stream. It's been so drastic with games we played well in and games we played poorly in this year. I hate having all these negative streams and negative social media stuff, interactions, things like that. So hopefully we get back to winning on Friday and have a positive, upbeat stream.
Yep, I agree. Chris says Tori stream from the car. If only I had like you in person to plug in the graphics for me once you make them. But shout out to Chris for doing a good job on always on the graphics. Only 2 typos today, so we did not strike out. Sorry, I was just reading some in the chat. You guys have a good rest of your night. I am ready to be done stream for 2.5 hours on Valley Pod and been live for almost 5 hours in a row. So I'm ready to just relax now. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your night and a good Thursday. We'll catch you again Friday evening, hopefully talking about a win, hopefully talking about a relaxing game. I think we're due for a relaxing game, so fingers crossed for that. Shout out to David Armani, who says he was here the whole time and didn't have one hot take. Good performance today, David.
It wasn't you running chat tonight.
Dang, man.
Just kidding, David.
See, David said he likes you more than me, and I think you might have just ruined that.
He knows I'm kidding.
So as far as like video stuff goes, I can't figure out how to download my editor software. It's like telling me a certain resource isn't available, so I have to figure that out before I can upload episodes to Spotify again. And then I wanted to do a mailbag, couldn't because I can't edit, so I'm gonna try and figure that out this weekend so I can do a film breakdown, do Spotify uploads, and then do hopefully a mailbag on Monday. Wait, no, we play Monday. I'll do mailbags on a day off. I'll do mailbag on Monday or Tuesday, depending on which day we have off, because I think it's about time we get in a mailbag. Other than that, nothing else to really plug. Do you want to plug anything, Eric?
Nope. Just tune in tomorrow to Blazers Uprise Live on our second channel if you are interested in making picks with chat and picking against the spread for the 3 games tomorrow. And then we'll also go a little more in depth on the Houston Rockets.
Yep, that's a sleeper. So, since there's only 3 games, if you had questions that we didn't answer in the stream, we'll take questions from chat for a bit tomorrow since we have more time than usual with a shorter Picks Against the Spread segment. So, hopefully, we can catch you there. If not...
Might get work, Eric, tomorrow, too.
Might get work, Eric. Is that going to be the first time this season?
Yeah, it might be.
Well, that would be something. That'll be a return of... We need Garage Eric, too. Get different versions of Eric. So
that was like the bubble only version of Eric.
Yeah, true. So hopefully we catch you tomorrow. If not, hopefully we catch you Friday night. But whenever we catch you next, I hope everything's going well for you. We're out of here. Thank you for making us a part of your Wednesday night. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.